No society wants you to become wise. It is against the investment of all societies. If people are wise, they cannot be exploited. If they are intelligent, they cannot be subjugated. They cannot be forced in a mechanical life to live like robots. They will assert their individuality. They will have the fragrance of rebellion around them. They would like to live in freedom. Freedom comes with wisdom, and no society wants people to be free. The communist society, the fascist society, the capitalist society, the Hindu, the Mohammedan, the Christian, no society. Because the moment they start using their intelligence, they become dangerous. Dangerous to the establishment. Dangerous to the people who are in power. Dangerous to the haves. Dangerous to all kinds of oppression, exploitation, suppression. Dangerous to the churches. Dangerous to the states, dangerous to the nations. In fact, a wise man is a fire, alive, a flame. But he cannot sell his life. He cannot serve them. He would like rather to die than to be enslaved.
Welcome to the TylerBloyer.com live stream. Today is November 8th, 2020, and today we're going to get into it a little bit. We're going to get in and out, share some clips, share some updates with what I've been working on, what I've been up to, and I promise to keep it short because I do have some other things to get to. So this will not be a 3-hour live stream with Q&A at the end and all the bells and whistles like that. And let me just do a little tech check here, make sure everything's coming in all right. Yeah, actually I wouldn't know by doing that, but that's okay. Like usual, I am doing producing by myself here today in the studio, just kicking some clips today, sharing some information of things I've been working on, like I said, and if there's any technical issues, we'll just have to address that. I've gotten out of the saddle a little bit, gotten back into the saddle here with the live streaming, been working on some setups, been working on some new content for the TylerBloyer.com site. And just to give you guys a little sneak peek of something really quick here, you can see that I'm live streaming here on the site on the front page. There's my silly face, and you can also catch it over here on the live show. So you can catch the live stream on the website. Go ahead and subscribe with your email. That way you're getting updates from me when I send out emails. I do not spam. I do not send out a lot of emails or excessive spammy emails. Another addition to the site while we're over here recently would be the Creature of Control web brain is now accessible from the site. I've been using this for years to kind of track the creature of control. If you want to get a better view of that, you can go into the full page. And as I've been reinvigorating the Creature of Control podcast as of recently, I've got the web brain going again and getting things organized, getting some source materials over here, and be able to use this as a reference for show notes and also just tracking over time. You can come in and see kind of the root of the creature and then go from there into other things that we've done before, like falling into the movement trap series is part of the Creature of Control. I'm embedding things right in here. So that's a new addition to the site that some might find interesting. Other than that, we've got some new tech going, some different camera angles that I can invite people in to see what's going on in the stream and get a different view. So trying to up our game a little bit here. Thank you to Richard Grove for gifting the Stream Deck to the setup, which is helping to run the show and make things easier as I produce and do shadow hosting and live stream producing for others, and work to enhance the skill set with this so we can do things like what we'll talk about here in a little bit, which is like Grand Theft World podcast, other live streaming podcasts, and other things that I'm working on that we'll go through today. Hagebrander, nice to see you there. Looks like the chat is working through Facebook, so that's cool. Good to know. Thanks for giving me a heads up. And what we want to get into a little bit today is just some things that I've been checking out recently as far as the pandemic and the 2020 COVID-19 thing. I would like to just come out and say, like I've been saying in my walk and talks, if you go back and look in like March, April, May, I was cautious to start calling it a plandemic or just a completely fake thing. I am also sensitive to those that are affected, personally in their lives, and have people that are, becoming ill, whether it's through COVID-19 or other ways. So I don't want to come off as saying like my opinion is this and therefore screw your grandma. It's not about that. It's about keeping an open mind. Nobody knows all the facts, and the scientific community, so-called, the experts that we're supposed to be trusting, also aren't sharing all the facts with us, and we're going to get into that a little bit today. So anyone who's completely made up their mind and calling it just a complete scam and it's completely fake and we shouldn't look any further and you can just stop there and you've made your mind up, I think that's a mistake. To fully believe what the mainstream media tells you is also a huge mistake. And so, when you get like Anthony Fauci up there telling you what you should do and how you should live your life, but not giving you all the information about what he knows and what he's been doing over the last decade or 2 decades, and hiding information like from Dr. Judy Mikovits or the Plandemic documentaries 1 and 2. We talked about that a little bit in the Unmutual podcast, which was taken down off YouTube. One of my first videos to get taken down off the old YouTube there, like I give a shit. And we'll be going into that a little bit today too, of where you can find me on alternative platforms, things that I'm helping with others to get themselves on alternative platforms. And one of the things I'd like to start today, and I don't have a huge slide deck prepared, but I do have some clips that I'll share. And so as I'm kind of checking on the tech here, we'll go into a clip here that I want to share from Clint Richardson's Wagging the Dog documentary. Now, this came out recently, October 18th, Wagging the Dog Part 1, the story behind the story of COVID-19. It is a 9-hour Part 1 documentary. And a lot of this stuff is also sourced really well that you could go read a lot of the stuff that's in this documentary. But why it's helpful is there's like panels and people in this so-called scientific community, a lot of clips from Fauci, and a lot of information about the gain of function research that's been going on out of bioweapons labs. There's no real difference between researching for vaccines and creating bioweapons here, as you can see through this documentary. And so again, going back to people that are just saying, oh, it's completely fake, there's nothing going on, to, oh, what have these people been working on over the last decade? They've been working on creating SARS-1 and now SARS-2 COVID-19 viruses with gain-of-function technology to make them more virulent and more easily spreadable amongst the population, basically. So let's get into a clip today of Clint Richardson, his documentary, Wagging the Dog. You can find more information about that in the show notes for this. You could say whatever you want about Clint. I hold a position that the information sometimes is more important than the presenter. And so, you could even follow my work over time and see conflicts, or like that opening clip that I played with Osho, and be like, oh, he's sharing Osho, who's a guru, and he just wants people to be a slave and listen to Osho. Like, that's not the case at all. If you go back and listen to that, that's a really powerful clip, and sometimes Osho says things that I really agree with. And I think a lot of his philosophy does empower the individual for freedom. And as you can see in that clip, he's talking about how society does not want you to become wise, right? And a lot of people who are kind of raised and indoctrinated in the institutions, they're not going to understand what he's talking about. Like, oh, well, my society wants me to become wise. Look at the education I got, and I'm really wise, and there's nothing wrong with me. But it's again going back to the collective and the Borg-like brain of how that works. There's almost a rule of the universe of how those type of collective mindsets work, and worldviews that accept things without questioning, basically indoctrinated beliefs that the society has to accept, such as like A, B, C, D law that we're going to create as a society and agree to, even though it harms innocent people that have done nothing. But as that's a general rule, you just kind of have to go along with it, And even though if your behavior itself is actively harming people, wisdom would include things like, natural law and understanding that, you don't own that other person. You're not able to aggress against them. You're not able to just, randomly create whatever man's law says to write down and then go and start harming other people's property because the society itself, agrees to these things. Same with like the type of research and pragmatism that you'll see in that 9-hour documentary coming from the people that are saying things like, well, is this gain of function research really worth doing? Should we really be messing with making, these animal viruses that don't jump to human beings actually jump to human beings? And should we, even though that never happens in nature, should we experiment with adding functions to these viruses? Well, yes, absolutely. It's totally worth it. Even though billions or millions of people could die, it's totally worth pursuing that, scientific endeavor. Those kind of things. That's not wisdom. That's complete insanity. And we'll go to the clip here. Just a little preview of what you can find in that documentary and some of the gain of function information.
As I started looking at this information, and as I started seeing that this is actually a chimeric version, something that was developed here in the United States in 2015, it was published in Nature magazine, that it was developed in the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where all the initial studies were done. The chimeric research, despite having a moratorium by the US government to prevent any chimeric research, by the way, just so your audience understands, chimeric research basically means that they're taking a naturally occurring substance or virus, in this case, and then mutating it, genetically modifying it, mutating it, genetically modifying it, changing the configuration morphologically to gain function. It's called a gain of function study or gain of function research. And that basically means that they're making something that already may have some potential to cause harm, making it more harmful, making it more virulent, making it more resistant, making it more harmful, making it more virulent, making it more resistant. And basically that's what I found, that they took the SHC014 strain of the coronavirus, the surface antigen component, and brought in the backbone from the SARS coronavirus, put them together, and then inserted HIV and MERS, and then inserted HIV and MERS, and then inserted HIV and MERS orthologs on top of it to make a more virulent, more detrimental virus. Now, the thing is that
if I could jump in for just a moment here, because what I think you're talking about is the moratorium that was placed, and then $3.7 million from the National Institute of Health was transferred to China so they could continue this research, even though the moratorium. So they basically outsourced this research to China. This research to China. Is this the same topic we're talking about here? This news is just breaking?
Yes, this is exactly right. So it goes back to 2014. The U.S. government decided, based upon certain virologists at that time, saying that, look, there's no justification for this kind of research. There's a potential for it to cause harm, cause a pandemic. So there's no justification for us to do this type of research. So the government passed a moratorium in 2014. Fauci approved budgets monies to be sectioned for this type of research. So basically, and I'm getting really, every time I think about this, it gets me really flustered because I'm so angry that he basically broke the law. He more than broke the law. He created this entire cascade that we're seeing with the world shutdown was created by this initial aspect back in 2015. He broke the law. He went against government moratoriums. He took taxpayer money and he funded research that has now led to the COVID-19. In 2017, he was documented at Georgetown University saying that there will be a pandemic that this presidency will face, that this term will face. How did he know that in 2017 that something was going to happen in 2018, 19, or 2020? You can't predict the market from 3 days from today, what's going to happen. How did he know that there was going to be a pandemic? He stated the president of this president will face a pandemic. The exact quotes, I don't want to say the exact words. You guys have the video footage.
There is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that. But also there will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak.
My point is that when somebody starts making these type of statements, and then they were involved with the breaking of the law to fund the research that American taxpayers paid for, that then goes to Wuhan and now trying to create this diversion and say that it was China. God, I don't know whether it came from China or released in China, whether it was already released here. It's irrelevant. The complicity of what's going on right now, whether it was released in China or whether it was already here or however it happened, the U.S. system has condoned it, has jumped on it. They're opportunistic. They're shutting down the economy when they know, in fact, that there's no basis.
Is Fauci directly responsible for this pandemic because he maneuvered the money, he maneuvered around the moratorium, kept this chimeric research going in China? Is he directly responsible for not just the pandemic, but also the response that's killed the economy, put, 17 to 22 million people out of work? Is Fauci directly responsible?
I'm going to say this. I think that I've seen some petitions going around. I know Dr. Shiva said that Fauci should be fired. I think that's the nicest thing that could be done to Fauci. I think he's a criminal. He's broken the law. He's going against the government. I mean, to me, that seems like it's a traitorous thing to do when the government has passed a regulation and he's at one of the highest levels in the NIH. He's got a directorship at the NIH, and then he breaks the law, he breaks the moratorium, and then funds research against something that could potentially cause harm throughout the entire world. And he's in collusion with the foreign government to do. I mean, I don't know. That's a matter for attorneys to decide. But I'll tell you something. Fauci goes back to 1981. In 1981,
Please join me in welcoming Dr. Fauci. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. The idea that we are now a few days away from a new administration, there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. Outbreak.
All right, so pretty interesting stuff there, right? So how did Fauci know in 2017 that there would be a surprise outbreak? That's a good question, right? And why now that this has happened are we not being told about all the gain-of-function research, about the research that was sold to China, and like Rashid was saying there, a treasonous thing against like the nation. It's a treasonous thing against humanity, what's being done here. And even the research itself is treasonous against nature and against humanity, against what's real. You know, these people who are inverting reality and attempting to create viruses from AIDS and other mutant chimera viruses that they've engineered, and then putting them together, and then oops, they get out and they leak. You know, whoop-de-doo, whoops, how did that happen? You know. And here we are now, and Fauci's back up on the stage in front of everybody for the last year, dictating the scientific reality and consensus that we're all just supposed to fall in line and lockstep up and lock down and mask up. And it's a bat virus, right? Isn't that the mainstream news story that they're telling everybody, that this is just a bat virus. There's somebody in China ate a bat and it jumped from them. I mean, I don't follow day to day what the mainstream news is lying to people about, because I don't spend a lot of time listening and trying to decipher what known liars are trying to tell us. But as far as, you know, this video now is probably going to get totally banned off of YouTube and totally flagged on Facebook, and I don't even know if, you know, we're still going on those sites live today. But that's not conspiracy theory. I was doing a little research on, you know, and I'll put in the show notes a lot more here, but with the stuff that Rashid was saying, I'll put in the show notes there and follow up with the documentation that you can research that stuff by yourself, rather than just looking for a Google search that's going to give you a bunch of slander against the people mentioned in there. But I mean, you can see directly from Fauci himself in that video, if you go watch it, that he's been very involved in that type of research and creating these chimera viruses. And then, you know, like I said, whether it was leaked, whether it was released on purpose, you know, to say, you know, I don't think it's as deadly as they're trying to make it seem. And I do think that's where the media is spinning things. And there is the, you know, great global reset that the world, that the WHO and the United Nations and different global bodies of government are trying to implement this great reset. But, and I'm getting the organization, the 3-letter alphabet organization wrong there when I say the WHO. But it'll pop in. I don't, again, try to memorize every little psychopathic organization on the planet that's formed to come and try to manipulate us into giving up everything that people should be holding dear. And stuff like wearing a mask and being forced to wear a mask. Again, I'm not arguing that there's absolutely nothing going on and that you shouldn't be worried about anything. As you can see there could definitely be this. I mean, I think there is a virus that's been released. It's a modified SARS-1 virus, now SARS-2. And COVID is a manufactured, basically, bioweapon. And it'll probably be with us for the rest of my life, at least. And we'll have to deal with these kind of things. The question is I guess, how do we respond to it properly? And if you're not being given the full facts and the full information about things, how can you properly respond to it? And so, again, many people out there know about the gain of function research and creating these bioweapons and creating these viruses that can be more virulent, and all the money that's been funded on that, and the 2014 moratorium on that, and scientists coming out and saying that they really don't know what they're doing and that we don't have the research on vaccines to proceed. But then now, all of a sudden, we have plenty of information to proceed with a vaccine for this virus that we created. I mean, can you not see the conflict of interest here with Bill Gates stepping in with all his funding of the WHO and of this type of research as well to create the vaccines for these types of viruses? And now suddenly we're just supposed to believe everything we're being told from people like Bill Gates and Fauci without questioning any of this stuff, and just accept what's coming next and just take the vaccine and don't worry about that, and don't worry about the studies that they couldn't have possibly done in time, you know, for the vaccine to be released. And don't worry that it was really the government and their research that created these viruses in the first place and then sold them to China, and then now they're accidentally leaked. Don't worry about any of that. Just shut up, wear your mask, and don't look at anything that says that it's false information on the internet, and just trust the scientists about everything, right? Well, that's not how it works. And they can think that scientific dictatorship is coming into view, but, you know, as long as we still have people that are being wise, like Osho was saying in the beginning, then that's a lot less likely to happen. So part of this stream is just to get people to maybe go check that information out and make sure that they're getting a better picture on what's really going on, you know. And I'm not saying I have the full truth and I have the full picture, but what I am saying is that maybe you shouldn't just agree and completely believe everything you're being told, and go start to look into some of this other information that is definitely being suppressed and is not, something that people are talking about in the general public when it comes to what's really going on with the COVID-19 2020 thing. Well, another place that you can go and check out information that I think would be helpful to start to get a better picture and worldview of what's going on is a recent project that we've been working on. I'll just switch over to my desktop share again. This is the grandtheftworld.com website, and here we have a lot of people who are sharing information. It's kind of like an aggregate site with good information about the election, and a lot of people that are getting censored, a lot of people that are not getting their voices out there because they're being shadow banned and censored and kicked off these platforms. And so this is just the start of this. Tonight we'll record a podcast, the first podcast for the Grand Theft World show. You can come in and, follow like Jason Burmis or Ben Swan, Awaken with JP. These people are currently, fighting censorship and having their voices suppressed. Corbett, right? So there's just a good aggregation, and this site will get built out. There's a community. If you're interested in joining that community, you can reach out to me and I can guide you to getting in there while we're still taking in people before we make this into more of a place where content creators can share their information and have a place to have a podcast. People can come on the podcast and share with us, and it'll really be an interesting project. So Grand Theft World, grandtheftworld.com, go check it out. Subscriberships are coming soon, and to get a little glimpse of what that is going to look like, I just have a clip that I created back a couple months ago with an interview that Richard Grove, this is Richard Grove's website, by the way, and his concept. So he's kind of behind the idea, and I'm just helping him out with that. But here's a little clip that'll give you an idea of what we talk about over at grandtheftworld.com, and something that I put together as an intro to an interview that I edited up recently. So here we go. Check this out.
We do have some power if we take action, if we plan it out, if we do some research, if we work with some other cool people. We do have power. We do have potential, right? The big trick is they make everyone think that they're broken. Everyone thinks that, oh, it must be me. Maybe I need this pill. Like, we live in a society that either makes you frustrated or aggressive. Frustrated, we got a pill. Aggressive, we got a cage. Like the frustration aggression complex, they've known about that. The Yale Institute of Human Relations in 1938, they're like, we have this insight into what drives people's behavior. Shall we liberate them with it? No, let's fucking enslave them with it, man. Let's make their whole society like frustrating and aggressive, because you know what, that's what results if somebody blocks you from getting to your goals. So if they say, we'll change the education system so you get schooling so you can never get to your goals, therefore you will be likely frustrated or aggressive or maybe anxious. They got a pill for that too, right? So the entire infrastructure of our society is built like in a funnel, and it's like fear and pain, and unless you're willing to go through here or through here, you're going to end up here in the cattle car where they want you, right? They have built like a cattle chute. Unless you break out through the side, you're going where they want you to go. They are writing your script for you, your family, your friends right now. They're writing it, they're putting it in front of you. They're like, here's your future. This is going to be your future. It's the new normal, which is just the new world order. That's all it is. Everything they're doing right now is what they've planned for the past 120 years on paper. That could be read in a summer by anybody. It doesn't take you 5 or 6 years to learn what's going on. It's like you need to read some books and some documents, but they have to be the right books and documents that actually connect you into the substance and meaning of the signal that's going on, and not all the noise that they want you to think is the reality, because that's not how it works.
So yeah, a nice little segue preview of what we have to come in the Grand Theft World podcast and the type of information we'll be talking about over there. And that interview was from a Pete Raymond Freeman Beyond the Wall podcast. There's a full interview that I'll put in the show notes. The show notes, if you're going looking for them right now, are not up because this is a live stream. So what I'll do is I'll take the show down. I'm recording it locally this time because, I have this streaming, by the way, to a few different places. Let's just go over that really quick. So the show currently streaming to the old Fedbook. I was trying DLive, something went wrong and it didn't go there. Looks like the show is working fine on Twitch, and then of course the old YouTube, and then I have a local recording, and then that will go up to BitChute, Library, the other places. So that way, if there's any problem with the stream, I have the local recording going, and as you can see, I have a huge audience following, so it's really important to get this information out. A lot of this is, I had a walk and talk that I wanted to do, and I wanted to share a lot of these clips that I was talking about today, and then I thought, well, that's not really the right format. Live streams are better for sharing clips, so let's just go ahead and share clips. Now, what I've been working on in 2020 is building and helping to build with a lot of other cool people. Like Richard was saying, you got to work with some cool people. Well, what us and some other cool people have been doing is building the universityofreason.com library all year. And in the past couple years, this has been built up since Autonomy Season 1. And within this university, we're in Season 4. But I'll just give you a little sneak peek of some of the stuff we got going on here really quick. So there's the University of Reason library with financial chats, history, health, Mechabadneric, special guests. There's the Trivium and Linux tutorials in here. So this is got a lot of other special events. Bob Podolsky did a course in here. And that's one area of this University of Reason. Now, if you're interested in getting into the University of Reason, just contact me or follow. Again, there's a link in the show notes to get to learn more about autonomy, and you can get the 19 skills PDF for free as a download to learn about the 19 skills essential for success that you were not taught in school. And then I could also, if you're interested, there will be a link for this appetizers course in here, if I can find it. Yeah, this course has like a preview of what to find in autonomy. So if you're interested in getting a preview, you can hit me up and let me know, and I'll get you in there. You could also see in here that like Derek Bros did a holistic self-assessment course. Benny Wills did a Parrhesia course. We're helping the One Great Work Network build a training course, the Peace Revolution podcast, all kinds of good stuff that you can go and check out there in the University of Reason. The reason why I bring that up is because that's what we've been working on this year. Instead of hunkering down and waiting for the election and just sitting back and, scared to death and locking down, we've been expanding. Me and the people I've been working with, we've been growing, helping other people grow, helping other people achieve their goals, helping content creators get their voice out there, starting new projects, revamping old projects, dusting things off that needed to be dusted off and getting them cleaned up and revitalized. So there's a lot of work that we've been doing in 2020 to help provide a ton of value to people that are in the University of Reason. And that's been really an anchor point for me, a good place to stay and hang out and do things with other really cool people that are, doing things to help people learn and to help people grow and to help people overcome their hurdles and to help people achieve what they're trying to achieve in life, and not just lock down and hunker down and not do anything this year and just wait to hear about the election results and all the fear and all the danger that everybody's living in. We've been doing the opposite. Like I said earlier this year, I said, this year we're just going to keep growing. We're going to keep getting after it, and there's plenty to be done. And as far as the shit going on out there in the world, it's probably going to get a lot worse, And if you want to sit and pay 100% attention to that and listen to NPR on your way to work and listen to your mainstream news outlet when you get home and just buy into all the propaganda that's being fed, then go right ahead and do that. But otherwise, there's alternatives out there where people are doing things to improve the world directly, and it's something that you could have in your life. You could reach out to me, and again, if you're interested in hearing more about that. Now, I said I was going to keep it short, so we'll just go through a few more of these clips really quick. I have a quick introduction here from one of those courses, and this is, and then I'll share another clip after that shortly after. So this here is learning more about freeing your speech. Now, Benny Wills from BennyWills.com, if I had like some huge audience following this live stream, I wouldn't probably be going over this right now because I'm not sure if this is official, if he's publicly announced it yet, but it's definitely right around the corner. And so let me just share again my desktop really quick. This is one of the things that we worked on. This website here was done by the Autonomy Unlimited team. A beautiful website to help Benny kind of relaunch the stuff he's been working on. One of those things is the course Parrhesia, and I was lucky enough to be in Autonomy where he produced the beta course and kind of practice session while he's getting ready to launch. And now I'll just share a quick clip from Benny introducing the course and talking about Parrhesia.
Hi, I'm Benny Wills. Are you terrified of public speaking? Do you ever wish you could express yourself with more confidence and less fear? Would you like to be able to communicate better with friends and family about difficult subjects? And finally, do you have a masterpiece inside you? If you answered yes, or just thought yes to any of those questions, you probably need Parrhesia. Parrhesia quite literally means free speech. It is the ability to communicate freely or boldly without self-doubt. In our currently hyper-polarized, extremely emotional, and ultra-opinionated world, communication is more important than ever. I spent the majority of my life learning how to communicate effectively. First as a stage actor, then as an actor in Hollywood, now as a poet and MC, and as a YouTuber for the last 8 years, and as someone who is constantly looking for ways to build bridges towards people who have different opinions than me. So I've created an online course to share with people what I've learned. It's live, multi-week, community-based, and hands-on. Help me help you free your speech with Parrhesia, the art of communication.
If you would like to learn more about Parrhesia and freeing your speech, head on over to BennyWills.com. You can check out more about that. Let them know I sent you. And that's something, again, that in Autonomy, in the University of Reason, that we were able to help Benny build. And that beautiful website that you were looking at was done by mainly, I think, Joshua Hale and team, the copywriter team, Kara, and the other people in Autonomy who contributed. Great job, guys. It looks amazing. And Benny, you know, he's someone who's really been interesting to work with and learn from him, and the way he handles himself. He really does have the bang to put the money where his mouth is with this information. This is something he's developed over a long period of time to bring these skills to the stage, so to say, put them into a course where you can learn about the hurdles and how to overcome those hurdles to free your speech. And not just that, but like how to effectively communicate with friends and family, how to, like he was saying in the clip there, right? And so, again, great stuff. You can also get memes delivered straight to your inbox. You can get memed up. It's a memings. He's the master of memes over there, and they'll get sent straight to your inbox. So if you want to go check that out, go right ahead. Well, while we're here on the share screen, I'll just jump into the next thing I wanted to talk about today, which was the One Great Work Network project. Now, this is a project from Mark Passio of whatonearthishappening.com. Some of you may already be familiar with this work or this project, and this is a really cool project that Passio's had the idea of for a while. Autonomy Unlimited is helping their project out by providing resources to help with the website, by providing resources to help with the newsletter, and getting the technical things done out of the way for the team there. They were kind of getting choked and overwhelmed by all the technical stuff that they had to do on a day-to-day basis. And so seeing that they were struggling, Autonomy Unlimited reached out. We've been working with the One Great Work Network project and whatonearthishappening.com over the past couple months, and it's been a successful endeavor. There's still a lot of work to be done, and this is, again, one of those things that's kind of not really officially been announced yet, but I felt like it's okay to talk about it here really quick and let everybody know that that's coming. And TylerBloyer.com currently is planned to be syndicated out on the One Great Work Network with posts that I decided to go over there, and live streams from Grand Theft World, potentially live streams from TylerBloyer.com, and re-archived content that can go into the live feed. So basically what this project is, just to explain it, is a 24/7 streaming server set up that will stream out a show that people can watch 24/7, and then it'll have live streams cut in where people are going on a live show. And so it'll kind of be, like Mark called it, a mystery school of sorts of content producers that are all promoting truth, love, freedom, prosperity, and natural law, and living in alignment with those principles. So really cool artwork, really cool project. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Mark Passio this week, and on pretty soon there should be an interview out from Passio, Richard Grove, Joshua Hale, and I doing a roundtable with Mark, getting an update on this. I have for you today an exclusive sneak peek to that interview that nobody has seen yet, really. A couple people have reviewed it. We might need to do some light editing to get it out before it goes out, but it is under review currently. But you're going to get to see a sneak peek live here on the show of the upcoming interview that will be released soon on Richard Grove's YouTube channel. And we'll just cut to that right here and enjoy.
Welcome back to Autonomy Conversations. Today, our guest is Mark Passio. Many of you know Mark through his work, but his podcast has been on hiatus for the past couple months. So we wanted to check in with him, and he's also got some new projects percolating, and maybe we'll hear a little bit about those today. But also today was a planned discussion of the behind the scenes, the things you guys don't see going on. If you're a fan of Passio's work, you see the Sunday broadcast, you see all this emphasis on truth, but there's a lot of technical minutia that has to be lined up each week to get the newsletter and to get the show out and to maintain continuity. And then if you've got a new project and you're trying to do those two things at once, it can get quite cumbersome. So Mark, welcome to this impromptu conversation about behind the scenes of your production and some of the bottlenecks and things that you've evolved through lately, and to kind of update your audience on where your work's at. How you doing?
Richard, I'm doing pretty good. I hope you guys are too. Richard, Tyler, Joshua, thank you for having me and having this discussion. Working with Autonomy has been a great experience so far. I think it's a great group of people, and people who get involved with it will definitely learn a lot and take those experiences with them further in life and whatever projects and endeavors they get involved in. And, as Richard said, I've been on hiatus for a little bit for mainly, truly, to be honest, personal and health reasons. Not that there's anything, physically wrong. I've been really taking it for an emotional break, and a lot of vitriol was really building up in me regarding this whole nonsense of this pandemic, alleged pandemic, especially in this area. Like, it's difficult for people to understand if they don't live around here in the, really taken, what I call a taken city. Philadelphia is a taken city. It's taken by the enemies of humanity. And I don't say those words lightly. What is happening here as in other places like New York and Chicago and Los Angeles and Atlanta and, other stronghold cities that have been literally taken. This is breeding grounds for ideologies that are literally treasonous to humanity. I'm not even talking about the word treason in reference to a country, a nation, a government. I could care less about those things, to be honest. there's a treasonous mindset to human beings happening in cities such as I just mentioned in the United States, and it's a very sad, depressing, and energy sapping thing when you really realize it. And I realize most people, I wouldn't say maybe most, but a lot of people really don't realize that because they're not living in areas like that. I noticed that a lot, personally, I noticed that a lot of quote awakened people really have, don't really live in huge metropolitan regions of very dense population centers, such as New York and Philadelphia on the East Coast of the United States. And you see most of that population is completely caught up and identified in the illusion. They're not awake people. They're not awake and aware people. They have a pretty low level of consciousness. And, you could say that that's insulting, and so be it. It happens to be the truth. So it's very difficult for people who aren't from regions like that to really understand what the collective consciousness is like when you live amongst it, and how draining it is upon you and how depressing.
So if you want to catch more of that interview, you can head on over to Richard Grove's YouTube channel and make sure you're following that. Make sure you've subscribed. This is an excellent source of information. There's years and years of work done here. Not only the ultimate history lesson, which if you're not familiar with that would be a great place to check out first. But there's more information about autonomy you can get here, and some of those recent interviews that I was playing clips from that I've had the pleasure of helping to edit in the post-production process and help Richard get his work out there. So again, going back to that goal, what we've been working on over here at TylerBloyer.com for a while now is helping to up our own production game and then helping others to do the same and get their voice out there. So, this is the good old GooTube, but you can get autonomy links here from Richard's YouTube channel directly to learn more about autonomy, and that will get you kind of into where more of the recent work that he's been doing, but we still are trickling stuff out on YouTube. You can find my information over here on Library as well as Richard's as well. So that's why I want to just talk about here for a minute. Library.com. This is not the right channel. Hold on, let's go to TylerBloyer.com. I've been doing 2 channels. One is going to be archives only with like everything in audio format and everything else to have audio versions available for hosting and stuff like that. But you can see I started down with my Creature of Control podcast. I've actually had some people recently that have watched this and reinvigorated it. And again, I'll be doing some work on the Creature of Control coming up. So I'll start to wind this down today, but one of the things I'm working on is the Creature of Control podcast. So lots of projects in the mix here, lots of irons in the fire. But one of those things is the Creature of Control podcast. And the Creature of Control is talking about the whole dynamic of not just top down, the Illuminati, the government is doing this, they are doing this and that, but really getting into the psychology and the head of the actual creature itself that allows itself to be influenced and controlled, and the dynamics that are going on internally. A lot of this was touched on in the falling into the movement traps, but we focused on specifically there, like issues with the idealism, and I'm not talking about idealism as in the philosophical idealism as in ideaism, because I very much actually enjoy and align a lot, I think, with idealism, but idealism as in having an ideal and sticking to it, and just as the societies that Osho was talking about in the beginning, not really accepting individual thought, not really accepting critical thinking from critical thinkers, but having to have certain edicts and things that are accepted. In the Creature of Control, there's a lot of dynamics internally that go on and things that are generationally inherited that go on inside of the individual. So we'll hop in a little bit here and give you a preview of what that looks like coming up. The Creature of Control podcast will be relaunched obviously on TylerBloyer.com this time around, and I'll have this going out as an official podcast. I'm catching up a lot of that work you saw I was doing on Library, and things are getting things ready to where I'm properly publishing out my work into various channels, and then we'll hit the Creature of Control probably around the end of the year, start that back up, and you can get a little idea what the graphics I've been working on for that. Within the Stones Media Network is the production company behind it that I've started in the last year as well to help produce this type of content, help produce other people's content. So I'll give you guys a preview of the Creature of Control montage. It might be a little heavy. It might take your breath away, kind of leave you with like, oh my God, what's this all about? But this is a little graphical representation of what the Creature of Control montage or upcoming series is going to be like. And then we'll come back after this short clip and probably go ahead and wrap up the show today.
We need more psychology. We need more understanding of human nature, because the only real danger that exists is man himself. He is the great danger, and we are pitifully unaware of it. We know nothing of man.
Very obviously, he has gone insane. Primordial instincts to kill, without feeling, without passion, without judgment. Primordial instincts to kill me, without feeling, without passion, totally insane, without judgment. Primordial instincts to kill, that you, without feeling, without passion, without judgment. Primordial instincts to kill. Are my methods unsound? Without feeling, without passion, without judgment. Primordial instinct to kill. Without feeling, without passion, at all. Without judgment. Primordial instincts to kill. Without feeling, without passion, without judgment.
He is the great danger, and we are pitifully unaware of it. We know nothing of man, far too little. His psyche should be studied, because we are the origin of all coming evil.
All right, so setting the tone a little bit there. Like I said, might need to lighten that up a little bit, but Carl Jung said it the best, that, you know, man is the coming of all, is the origin of all coming danger, and that we need to study the psyche of man to understand more about ourselves, because we know far too little about how we operate, how things come into fruition, the cause and effect reality, the causal factors that bring about the conditions such as they are now in 2020 and 2021 and beyond. And so the creature is a study of not just, again, like the top down, oh, they, and pointing fingers at like what they're doing, but more like going, it is that, it's going to include that, but in combination with, you know, one party is selling a lie and a mistruth, another party is accepting and believing and buying the lies, right? So someone can feed you full of propaganda, but there's a whole another dynamic there, sides of people that accept and do not take the responsibility for the information and don't take responsibility for their own lives even, and end up outsourcing their thinking and outsourcing their decision-making powers, because it's easier in the modern life with everything that we have going on, with how busy we are, with all the different things that people have to do just to keep food on the table and keep a warm, you know, house over the family's head, that we end up getting distracted and having an excuse to accept information without critically judging it and then acting on that. And that can be a spiral out of control into a completely enslaved society. And we're seeing that we're creeping closer and closer to people being total slaves, and in physical ways, not even just mental ways. But there is, going back in the series, if we just cover it a little bit here, I can show you what to expect from the first 3 episodes and some of the missing worldview components that I think people have that are really key to understanding the overall big picture, or at least incorporating into your picture, so you can have a better worldview, more holistic and accurate worldview. So just going again in here into my desktop share, let's just go to the home page to get to the Creature of Control series. From here, you would just click on this graphical link, and I've got the library embeds done. I'm still cleaning up some of this because I wanted to make sure everything was working okay, that people had access to this. And you can see we cover psychopathy in the first episode. Now, psychopathy is one of the huge components to understanding our reality and how other people might have not the same kind of moral compass as you, and how mistaking your morality for others is a big mistake, and then how psychopathy works. Another subject that we go into on the Creature is social Darwinism. So you may have heard of like Darwinism, but modifying that into the more current worldview from Darwinism is social Darwinism, and people who believe that because of their social status, because of their family lineage, that they're actually superior genetically and otherwise to others, and that helps them justify the things that are done to humanity without blinking, like Fauci and his research, and the NIH and the other bodies that were researching that gain-of-function technology, and how they might go about justifying that type of research. And then we go into epigenetics and epi-eugenics and eugenics itself. That's why I call it the crypto-evolution of epi-eugenics, because eugenics itself is a hidden science that's been occulted and modified into things like the Green Revolution and the United Nations and peacekeeping and things like that, that if you don't understand the history of it and it's crypto to you, it's completely hidden, then you won't understand epi-eugenics and modifying behavior through the environment and even the concepts that are being discussed there. So if you're at this point like, what the hell is he talking about? Well, then we go into relativism and social and moral relativism. And those are the first 4 episodes in the series. There's about like 12 hours of content there. And that was done back in 2015. And I had a lot of life-changing events since then, and have recently decided, with the launch of the One Great Work Network and me wanting to get off of the falling into the movement traps thing and get into some more work, that's the whole point of TylerBloyer.com, is to be able to talk about what I want to talk about, create the way that I want to create, and not have a censor or a filter to where it's like, oh, it's underneath this falling into the movement traps name.com, and I always got to talk about that, or I only do walk and talks, or let me just do the creatureofcontrol.com only. Now, I've intentionally, talked about this stuff on TylerBloyer.com and built this website up so that over the years you can follow the stream of consciousness, and also that I can correct myself if I need to, if I'm wrong about something, if I've said something that's incorrect, and archive that and have people be able to follow that, and then do it under my own name in a way that just says, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I say, this is what I think. I'm not trying to portray any kind of like flattering title, or that I'm an expert in here or that or anything. And you can say, well, I'm not interested in that then. I don't want to follow that. And that's all good. That's how you should do it then. This is how I'm doing it. This is how I'm expressing myself. I'm doing it in the modern way of publishing your voice out there and using the internet in a way that it could be used, which is to communicate ideas and to communicate your thoughts and feelings about things. And so that's what we're going to continue to do over here at TylerBloyer.com. You can go to TylerBloyer.com/subscribe again to subscribe your email, and that way I'll be able to send out updates to you as things like the Creature of Control, the One Great Work Network, the Grand Theft World podcast, University of Reason updates, and other things that I've been working on and within the Stones productions can all be followed through that one simple way of kind of following my work. I don't really incentivize people to go and follow me on YouTube or one particular platform. That's again why I've built the website, is to have a central place where people can come and check out what I'm doing without having to worry about what social place that I'm on or whatever. Gab and Minds and now he's on Library, now he's on. I don't really, care to play that game. I'm working to get my stuff up on alternative platforms, but at the same time, like, that will be available on my website, and you're not going to have to go and subscribe to all these different places. And then syndicating out on things like Grand Theft World and One Great Work Network partners that I've, created partnerships with through basically like working together as friends on the journey of, producing and helping other people to overcome hurdles that they're having. So anyway, that guy's today a little bit all over the place, only because I wanted to provide a good update video. I've got some other things that I got to go jump into, some things I'm actually late for at this point. But I'm going to, try to keep things going up into the new year with the Creature of Control, get that launched around the end of the new year. Not for sure on a specific date, but I think it will be pre-recorded. And then we'll do the live streams and walk and talks and things like that to keep things fresh and keep people updated on what's going on. Other than that, this has been a TylerBloyer.com live stream. Sunday mornings is when we usually do them, and looks like we had some success with the tech today, so that's right on, because I am doing some things a little bit differently. For those guys in the True Media course that were chatting in the chat, I'll see you guys soon. Hope to help you out with what you guys are working on as well this year, and just watch what comes out of the... I didn't even talk about the How to Become the True Media course, really, but go check that out in that interview that I will be coming out with Mark. He talks about it in there, and there will be upcoming seasons from what I hear of the True Media course. So if you're interested in that, you can find out more there. Other than that, I will call it there and hope you guys have a wonderful day. Talk to you later.